Hello and welcome back to Teaching from Home, Teaching Remotely, Lesson 2. In the last lesson, we learned how to create folders from Drive. We learned how to get into Drive, how to create folders in Drive, how to create folders within folders. In this case, we created a course, Teaching from Home. We created a folder for this course. And then within the course, we created a folder for the unit. And within the unit, we created a folder for Lesson 1. And here we're in lesson 1, and these are all the documents we last created. We created a Google Doc, we created a Google Slide, we also created a Google Form. And down here, lastly, we have the spreadsheet for all the responses that we're going to get from this Google Form, which will update in real time. What we're going to look at in this video is we're going to look at how to get all this into Google Classroom. So, if you go up here to the tiles to the right side, and here we have the Google Apps, and we click on the Google Apps, okay, and you go down into Classroom. So when you click in Classroom, it's going to bring up Google Classroom. And within Google Classroom, here are all my classes, okay? And if I want to create new classes, this is an archive class. If I want to create a class, I go up here to the plus sign, and I create. I can create or join a class. So your students would be joining, you'd be creating. So when you click on that and create a class, and we're going to call this class Teaching Remotely or Teaching from Home. And you kind of want to be consistent. Teaching from Home. Let's be consistent with what we put in the Drive. That way we know the class. And whatever section it is, if you have 3 or 4 sections, section 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the subject is, digital learning, we're going to call this digital learning, or remote learning or distant learning, whatever the subject might be. Maybe distant learning might be better. Okay, and whatever room number that you're in, okay, and then click Create. Once this happens, once you've created this classroom, I'm going to wait for it for a little bit. You then have a class where the students can go in and get all the information you need. So here we go, Teaching from Home. So every time I click on the Google Classroom, I'm going to see all those classes, and I'm also going to see this class, Teaching from Home. Now, you can add students in 2 ways, all right? One is, if you're right in front of the students, you can click on this and present this on the smartboard or whatever board, or just write these numbers, this code down. When the students go to join a class, they're going to be asked for a code, and they would just simply enter this code exactly as it is, and you're going to see a list of the students who are in your classroom. By default, Google kind of sees what your class is all about, and they create a theme for it. So in this case, I've created this theme. Another way you can add people to your classroom is you click on people up here, and you can start to add students. You can add teachers if you're collaborating with other teachers. So if you have an ICO class, or you have a collaborative teaching class, you can click on this, add another teacher to it. So everything you add to this classroom, that teacher will have access to as well. Okay, so you can invite teachers, you can invite students. All right, so when you click on invite students, you have 2 choices. You can type a name, or you can type the email of the student. So you can type the email of any of the students. And once you type the email, you click invite, and an invitation will be sent to them. You can also invite parents to this if you want to later on. Once you have a student, then it will ask you to invite a parent of the student. So here you'd have a list of students. And Google has an option where you can place grades directly. Once you grade something in Classroom, the grades will appear. I never use this option because my school actually has a grade book that we use, so that's a lot better for me. And I just simply transfer the grades. It doesn't take too long, provided you don't let your grades run too long before you put them in the grade book. This is a really simple thing to do. And we'll look at some sample, some sample grades, and so forth. Or some sample submissions, but you'd be able to see that on your own. Okay, so if I go to classwork, this is where I create different documents, different lessons that I want to send to the students. I can also put in links to videos, links to websites, links to activities, and so forth. And we'll look at that in a minute. The stream here is where anything you assign the students will appear here in real time in order. For that reason, if you want the students to go back and look at something that you created, say a week ago, but you're now, two lessons ahead, um, I always advise students to go to classwork, because when they go to classwork, everything you create here, you can kind of assign a topic to, and that it'll appear as a topic on the left side here. So let's go ahead and let's create our first lesson. All right, so the assignment we're going to put here is lesson one, but we are going to use the documents we created before. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to add. Okay. And when I go to add, I can go to Google Drive to add. I can put a link to a specific website. I can upload a file directly from my desktop. I can add a YouTube video. So I can do anything I want over here. So I'm just gonna go to Drive and mess around with it, and you pretty much get to know what to do. So here I am at 9:36 p.m. Doing this in New York, all for you. But I can add a lesson here, lesson one. I'm going to go ahead and add this. Now, I want every student to have access to this. So right here where it says students can view, I'm going to change that to make a copy for each student. That way, students are submitting their own document. If you leave it at student can view, then they actually cannot access because you own it. By clicking make a copy for each student now owns their document, their copy of the document. So when it's submitted personally. If you click student can edit, they can change your file. So be careful not to leave it as student can edit unless you want every student to edit your file. I don't think you want that. So make a copy for each student. Now I can send this as is, but let's just say I want to attach my PowerPoint to this as well. So I go back here and I go back to Google Drive, and within here I can upload what I want to insert. I can go over my drive. I can go to shared drive, and it shows me the most recent. So I can go to my drive, and I got a whole bunch of things in my drive if I want to click from there, or I'm just going to go to recent, which is what we're doing right now. So I'll click on the slide, add the slide, and with my slides, personally, I just want the students to view them. I don't really want the students to edit it, and they don't need a copy of their own. It's just a slide, right? Unless there's something in the slide that I want them to edit or to put, and some teachers would do this, would create their lessons as a slide, and the students have to input in the slide. But I think that's a little more time consuming for the students and the teacher to grade. But let's just say I'm not done, and this time I want to add a link. And since I am a chemistry teacher, I can go to let's say, I don't know, PhET, Colorado Simulations, and I can go here, and we're doing acid-base solutions in class. Not everything works, directly on Google. All depends. I've noticed that those with a symbol here, HTML5, I think work well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and it brings me to my simulation, and I want them to do this. So I'd go up here, and I'm going to copy this link, okay? And let's just exit that and copy the link. And this time I'm going to add a link to my Google Classroom. Click on link and paste it. Add a link. So now they will have access to this link. But let's just say there's something fantastic on YouTube about acid bases. I'm going to go and click here. I'm going to click add, YouTube, and acids. Oops, double click, excuse me. Acids and bases. It's asking me for URL. Okay, video search. Here we go. So I'm going to search videos, and YouTube brings up this one here. basic introduction. Love that video. It's 18 minutes, maybe too long. I'm going to go with this one, Crash Course in Chemistry. I'm going to click on that, and it's only 11 minutes. Or maybe that's too long too. I'm going to go to this one here, 4 minutes, because I don't want my students spending too much time watching videos. I want them doing the work. All right, so here we go. So I have just linked a Google Doc, Google slide presentation. I've clicked the simulation for them to practice, and I've also clicked on, attached a video for them to watch. So, but I'm going to create a topic here, and the topic, create a topic, and I'm going to call this Lesson 1, or Unit 1. Unit 1. So I have all my lessons in Unit 1 under the same tab. I can put a due date. I can select the due date. This is going to be due tomorrow in your case, so I need it Friday. Okay, I can select the time. I need it by midnight, and there we go. I can change that time and date at any time. This is going to be worth 100 points, all right, or it's not going to be graded. I'm going to grade it, and this is for all my students, right? So a lot of times, if you have a lot of students, you're going to click on this, and you could select to send this to specific students because you want them to, you're doing kind of like an intervention, and you want them to work on something extra. So you can select those students. It'll give you a list, a drop-down list of all the students, and you can unclick all students and click on specific students. Or you want all students to do it because it's the first time you give this lesson to everyone. So there we go. And this is for the classes. I teach different classes. This would be the class that that I'm giving it to, teaching from home class. All right, so it stays put. Or maybe even my example class. I want them to do it as well. So when I click on that, so you can click on multiple classes can have the same lesson, or it could just be a few classes that that have that. So, so 2 classes are going to take this. Complete this lesson, and once that's done, I'm going to click assign. So Google is saving the lesson that I have for my students, and there we go. So now it's under topic 1. So this is the advantage of going to classwork. All the lessons will be under specific topics, and it'll be nice, neatly organized, and students can find it. So when the students go in, they're going to see this, they're going to click on lesson, and they're going to go in there, and they're going to see everything that I put in there, and they're going to get started working. Always a good advice is always, give instructions if you have specifics. Like if you want them to watch a video first before they attempt the document, let them know right here, or click on instructions and give them the instructions of exactly what you want them to do, and tell them to read the instructions. So there's some accountability on the student's part for following your directions. Okay. So that was how to put things into Google Classroom. I know it's a little fast. Pause, rewind, slow down the video to learn how to get all this into Google Classroom. And again, the stream, when we go to the stream, it shows what I have just posted. And the cool thing about the classroom is that if I go here, I can create discussions if I want. I can post a question and have the students answer, and I can see their responses as they respond. I can reuse a post. I can post different type of material if I just want to, add a PDF file, and I just want the students to read and give me a response to that. I can assign a quiz. And when you click quiz assignment, right away you get Google Forms, and then now you got to go in and create the Google Forms like we did in the first video. Okay, so I hope you have learned a little bit more about how to use Google Classroom for your remote teaching. And in a further video, we're going to get into a little more detail as to what you can do with a Google Doc. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.